Welcome everybody to Greater Life, Greater Impact. We're freaking out a little bit because our phones went off. Those of us who are here in Missouri, phones went off with a tornado warning alert. So I hope that's not true. I see no wind. The trees aren't even bending or moving. So I'm just going to sit here and wait it out. All right. So we're talking about some pretty sacred things today in regards to something that I have come to know as being referred to as sacred sexuality. And I never really thought of sexuality as being sacred before until I started to study some of these things and learn from other people who had studied them before as well. And so I hope that you guys will take some of this learning today, and I hope that you find it fascinating and beneficial. So, as you well know, this entire year is being devoted to spiritual awakening. So, the awakening of our spirits so that we can know who we are in relation to who God is. Man, I am really distracted by this. Sorry. So that we can know who we are in relation to who God is, and so that we can know what our life's truth, purpose, and passion are. What are we here for? And what are we designed for? What are we designed to do here? So, with that being said, I'm going to open with a story. I was going to open with a quote, but I think I'm going to open with a story. It's interesting because people have been reaching out to me all morning this morning on Facebook as I've been trying to kind of gather my thoughts and prepare some things. Lots of people wanted to attend this class and had things to share. And somebody reached out to me this morning saying he felt that culturalism, cultural programming, and religiosity has really done sacred sexuality a disservice, meaning we've put so much guilt and shame around our physical bodies, around the act of sexuality, that we've forgotten who we are, and we've forgotten the purpose of these sacred things. And so we need to come back into the knowing, into the godly perspectives of what sexuality is and what the purpose is for us in our spiritual ascension, in our spiritual journey. And it is a big part of that. It is not just to make babies. It is not just for carnal lusts. It's not just for okay, now I'm hearing the sirens and it's freaking me out a little bit. Okay. I'm going to try to keep going. It's not just for satisfying pleasure. It's not carnal. It's not base. So we're going to get into that. I find it fascinating that, though, in religiosity and in our cultural programming, though, we are taught to cover your bodies, and the exposure of your body is bad and it's wrong, and it's what's the word? It's you're perpetuating pornography onto other people if your body is exposed in any way. And so we have a tendency to fear our nakedness. We have a tendency to fear sexuality and the purpose of sexuality, the functionality of it. So I want to talk more about what can we do now in moving forward to really bring this creative life force energy and this great power that we've been bestowed with. All of us have it within us. What can we do to bring it more into the light? What can we do to use these energies within us for spiritual awakening and for the ascension process, so that we can come closer to the gods and to the realm of the gods, and also to our God, so that we can come closer to him. Sorry. I think I like to think of God as the Elohim, which is the God family, which is Father, Mother, and all of the divine beings. And God is not just man. God is the divine feminine and the masculine. Okay, so this class is entitled Healing Through Sacred Sexual Energies. I have a quote. This quote comes from the book Sacred Sexuality, Reclaiming the Divine Feminine by Ara Blair. A''RA Blair. You can go find it on Amazon. It's a really great book, and it will really help to sort of open your eyes a little bit more about these powerful energies that reside within us and what we can do to use them for spirituality. She says in this book, when I speak of sexuality, I'm not talking solely about intercourse. Certainly, intercourse is a beautiful physical experience under the right circumstances, but it is a small part of the fullness of our sexuality and sensuality. It is often that which is abused or misused in the absence of the sacred. Sacred sexuality is our most intimate communion with the divine. It is a state that takes us beyond the physical realm of sex, which I believe in our cultures on the earth, we think sex is all about the bodies and that it's all about pleasure. Jetta says, could you repeat the title of the book and the author again? Yes, Sacred Sexuality, Reclaiming the Divine Feminine by Ara Blair. We think that sexuality is all about bodies, two bodies coming together, and it's all about pleasure. Or if it's not about pleasure, it's about making a baby. And there's more to it than that. Of course, there's great pleasure that's experienced in our sexuality, but there's more to it than that. And in a minute, I am going to open up the mics. I'm going to open up, you guys can unmute yourselves and we can just have a discussion here. And I would love to hear your rendition of how you were programmed to think about sexuality in just a minute. Let me finish this quote because I think it's a really great foundation for our class. So, sacred sexuality is our most intimate communion with the divine. It is a state that takes us beyond the physical realm of sex and orgasm to a connection with the deepest part of our being, our creative source and life sustaining energy. In this depth lies a wholeness and love that transcends any transgression, doubt, or absurdity that exists in our human experience. This sacred union with Source, it's a union with Source, heals and transforms our mind, body, and emotions. It releases the past and opens us to a supreme understanding of oneness, truth, and beauty. Through intimacy with this inner presence, transcendence occurs and life becomes a vehicle for the soul's growth. When we search this depth, when we reach this depth of understanding, everything in our experience becomes part of the sacred path to enlightenment. Everything. So there's a lot in that quote. And if you guys go get that book, she will take you to greater heights and greater depths of what she means by that.
Janet, I'm wondering where you got the book because I just looked on Amazon and it said it's $775.
You may have to, yes.
No, thank you.
I do have the link to it. I just sent it to somebody yesterday. So I have the link. I will post the link in the Facebook group. I'll post the link in the Facebook group when we get done. I won't post the replay to this class, but the resources I will post for you guys. I have a couple of YouTube videos that I will also post so that you guys can have that as well. Take it a little bit deeper. Here's another quote that I felt was fascinating in regards to sexuality, creative life force energy, and spiritual awakening and enlightenment and coming closer to the gods. So this is by Samael on Weir, Weor, Weir. Samael is Samael, on is Aun, and Weir is Weor. I probably Hulk smashed the pronunciation of that, but it is what it is. He says, the sexual force brought us into existence into this world. It is the same creative force Sorry, let me just do some muting. It is the same creative force that created worlds without numbers and souls to populate them. It is the only force that has the power and the authority to radically transform us. To learn to manage this force is to become the master of creation. Fascinating, right? So, the master of creation. Who is the master of creation? Well, the gods are. How do you think the gods created worlds without number? How do you think the gods created the universe and the galaxies that we enjoy today? It was through this powerful life force energy that flows through them. And this is how the gods commune. And so, if it's how godly beings commune, we better have an understanding of how this works for us as beings who are striving to become godly ourselves. We better have an understanding of this. And I do believe that to learn how to manage this life force creation energy within us for spiritual awakening and enlightenment and fulfillment and ascension into the God realm, we need to shake off the shackles of what the world has put upon us and start seeing these things in a godly light. The importance of sexuality and life force energy. This is the importance of it. It is the origin of our existence. No human being came into existence. No immortal soul came into existence because of concepts or theories or reasoning. Those reasoning and theories and learning and bookwork did not create us. We are not a scientific experiment. We were created by and through and from the powerful forces of sexual energy. Sorry, just muting. Okay, there we go. Okay. The energy that brought us into existence is the only one that has the power and the authority to transform us radically. It's sexual energy. Who knew, right? But yet, look at what we've done in our culture and in our religiosity. We have wrapped it up in so much shame and embarrassment and silence, that the world's view of sexuality has kind of become the predominant view, which is all about lust and carnality and pleasure and self-fulfillment. And that is not the godly view. And so as a result, we're all confused. Our children and our grandchildren are confused, and we've been confused for a long time on this planet. It's time to be done with the confusion. Another quote that I had from this gentleman was that it's blasphemy to reject sexuality. It's blasphemy to reject the mysteries